PokeBabs! Hello everyone, welcome back to PokeBabs. Today we will, as promised, be looking at round 1 from July's PokeBeach tournament. And we're playing that Dragon Rayquaza deck, Mega Rayquaza. And we're going up against S-Draw Cab, I guess. S-Draw Cab 190. So, should be interesting to see what people are playing in this tournament. It's just because it is this weird format. I'm really intrigued to see what kind of, if people will have creativity or not. And we're seeing it's going to be a fire and colorless deck. So, right out the gates, that's kind of interesting. Makes me think maybe Entei, maybe. It's kind of hasn't been in the format for a while, but maybe Entei. I'm not sure. Considering we've got the two, since we've got the two Hydreigon in hand, might as well put it in the active first. And we see a Houndoom EX. So I wasn't really expecting that, but it could be Mega Houndoom, but something's telling me that it's probably just the regular Houndoom EX. It's just a mill deck using a Melting Horn there, discarding the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck. Our hand is not very good though, especially if they start discarding cards right now this first turn. We're going to be in a little bit of trouble. We see a Headrigger come down on our Rayquaza, so not what we want to see. And a Melting Horn, discarding, ooh, that's not good, discarding a Double Dragon and a Reshiram, which we're hoping to get the Reshiram. Now the nice thing is we do top deck an Ultra Ball. I don't see the Giratina being very helpful in this matchup, and I might as well put a fire in the discard. The Giratina could be helpful in the sense that if it is the Mega Houndoom, then they might be playing those Burning Energies, but I'm not going to assume that. We do have another one in the deck anyway, so we're going to play down Hoopa EX. Use Scoundrel Ring to search for 3 EX Pokemon. I'm going to grab another Rayquaza. Putting an energy on it now is kind of the same thing as putting another energy on the one we already have down. And since we don't have a Skyfield in play, I'm just going to grab 2 Pokemon. We just would rather draw more off of Shaman EX. So we're going to draw 4 cards. And not looking much better, but we do get a Spirit Link. So hopefully that'll work for us. Hopefully it'll stick for a turn, but I mean, we still have not hit a supporter, so that is a little scary. And the 2 Mega Turbo in hand don't help without the Mega Rayquaza. Now, the other option, the nice thing, and there it is right there. The nice thing is that our opponent actually can discard supporters that we can use via Seeker on. But we top deck the Sycamore anyway, and I think we just had to play it at this point. If we played too slowly, we're just going to lose all the important cards in our deck, so I'd rather we draw them now. Unfortunately, we do have to get rid of VS Seekers and such, but we do get a Skyfield, we get a Double Dragon Energy, and we can Ultra Ball for something else here, maybe a Shaman EX. Don't regret making that move. Unfortunately, the 2 Mega Turbo gone, so discarding Fire Energy right now isn't particularly helpful. We probably need to hold on to the Super Rod, or we can play it now as well. But we need to be careful about that. Another thing that would be important to grab right now might be Bunnelby. Sometimes with a mill deck, if you just keep putting the cards back in. With Bunnelby, and they don't actually ever attack Bunnelby, we can build up our attackers in the background. Here you see me opting to go for the Mega Rayquaza. So like I said, the Bunnelby is probably going to be really important. Since we already lost a Double Dragon Energy, it might be good to just start Rototillering right now. That way we can mitigate the mill, and although we will be drawing, it still helps a lot. We can get back Reshiram. It's just one card I want to make sure we can get out there, and then probably a Double Dragon Energy, because we want to have those We want to have those in the deck so that we can attach them to our Mega Rayquaza. And hopefully, I mean, the nice thing is if we get going, it's possible that we can just start hitting them so hard they don't know what to do. Unfortunately, we see a Team Flare Grunt, and we don't have a basic fire in hand. They discard AZ and Trainer's Mail. And we get a Shrine of Memories, not particularly helpful. We're going to attach the Double Dragon because we need to get this thing powered up eventually. And we're just going to play a Sycamore and see what we can draw into here. We get another Spirit Link. We get the Mega, which is good. And next turn we could technically power up the Mega Rayquaza, although without a switching card we won't be able to take the knockout. So kind of need both things at the moment. We're seeing Assault Vest go on our opponent. It really doesn't matter to us at all. 300 damage hits through everything. That's what's so great about it. Even a Wailord with a Fighting Fury Belt will be knocked out. So I can't really actually think of anything that it doesn't hit through. Even in Expanded, if you put a Crystal Wall on, I think it's White Karamex, could be Black Karamex, can't remember. If you put a Crystal Wall on it, it has 300 HP, which still is not enough. So we can hit through pretty much anything. We see another Melting Horn, and we do have a Fire Energy though, and well, if we could take a knockout, we want to do that. I think that's what we'll do. As long as we have Fire Energy in hand, we're safe. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. But as long as we have a Fire Energy in hand, we can keep Rototailing. So we want to do that, and we want to make sure that we always have basic energy in the deck. If we run out of basic energy in the deck, then we won't be able to Rototailer anymore, and we won't be able to keep recovering as we need to kind of, like I said, mitigate what their plan is, which is just to run us out of cards. I think I'm going to grab a Mega Turbo. Just another card we would like to draw into to power up our bench. If we can get powered up enough. Actually, I think I like Switch, and the main reason I want to grab a Switch here is because if we get the Switch, then we can get the attack off. Also, Switch is good because if they bring up Hoopa and try and stall us while they mill us down, we got to be able to get out of that. So we see an N from our opponent. Our hand was alright, but it wasn't particularly powerful. This way we might get a Fire Energy in hand, which we always want to have Fire Energy in hand, like I said. It doesn't look like that happens. We see a Crushing Hammer. Wonder what energy they would go for. Okay, they go for the active, so they know what we're trying to do, and they want to make sure we can't do it. We see another Double Dragon go away, which is difficult. We do get a Mega Turbo, and there's 2 fire, so we might as well use one here. The nice thing is we do still have the Super Rod in the deck, but it was better when it was in our hand. So we're going to play N as well. See what we can do here. Maybe, so 2 fire there is great. That means we can continue to use Bundle B. We are down to 10 cards though, which is a little scary. And so we're going to grab a fire back just to make sure we can keep Rototailing. And I think the other good option would be to get the Double Dragon back. This way we can I mean, if we draw a Double Dragon, well, actually, we had all 4 VS Seeker, so it's probably smarter to just grab a VS Seeker. If we can't VS Seeker for N, that means even when we start taking prizes, we can be in trouble. So unfortunately, we see an Enhanced Hammer come down. So now we are really low on the Double Dragon energies. We see a Heads on Super Scoop Up, picking up Shaymin EX, putting it back down, and using Setup to draw 2. And at some point, Burrow might be useful. Oh, we see a Team Rocket's Handiwork, or as I say, Team Rocket's Trickery. They get 1 head, so they discard 4 cards in this turn. One of those being a Fire Energy, which is scary. We draw into the Switch. I think we just have to Rototailer once again. I don't think we can really afford to do much else in this turn. Don't really want to play down too much until we can get a knockout. They did put the second fire on the active, which is a little scary. It looks like they might be trying to knock us out at some point. if they deem it necessary. But it would actually take 2 Grand Flames because it only does 50 per turn. Or the attack only does 50, so I don't know. Kind of interesting to note that they can't actually take a 1-hit unless they play something like a Giovanni Scheme, which would be a little odd in this kind of deck. We see a Team Flare Grunt come out. Glad we've been recovering those basic energies, and we have one in hand, so they will Team Flare Grunt, get that fire off the Bunnelby, and Melting Horn once again. We're down to 7 cards, and the fortunate thing is, even when we keep putting cards back, we do only draw. We do still draw a card every turn, so and it's still basically -1 per turn because we draw. There's 2 cards discarded, 1 we draw, and then 2 we put back. So slowly we are getting milled out still, and without Super Rod or something like that being the exception. We see an N here, which could be good. It might get us a double dragon in our hand. Okay, we got the fire back at least. We see a Crushing Hammer. They're probably going to go for the active. Unfortunately, they hit the Crushing Hammer. And another Melting Horn puts us down to 6 cards. So you can see how precarious things are getting. We're going to have to, again, Rototiller. And it's kind of desperation at this point. I think the Super Rod is in the discard now too. So we might want to grab back Super Rod at some point. But yeah, this is not what we want to be seeing. Not what we want to be seeing. We need 2 attachments just to... I mean, we need 3 more energy to attack with the Mega Rayquaza. And attacking with anything but the Mega Rayquaza just really isn't worth it. So we see... Wow, they discard 4 cards with Team Rocket's handiwork. And... Oh no, they discard... Melting Horn discards 2 Double Dragon, and I'm at 0. So I know that the game is over. There's nothing I can do to avoid this loss, unfortunately. That Team Rocket's handiwork is a nice addition to the Houndoom deck, so I'm just going to go first. I'm going to indicate I'll go first in Game 2, and hopefully we get out to a little bit better start. Our starting hand wasn't great. We didn't get set up very well, and so... I think we can pull off wins. And the good thing about this type of deck is, and I'm not sure how many energy they're playing, but it's usually fairly low, less than 10. And I just decided to concede the game, I guess. Could have let him actually make me deck out, but opted to just concede the game. Didn't feel like wasting the time, and so. Yeah, I'm just going to make sure that they know I want to go first, and we'll go into the next game. So, we have been in this position many times before, but it was a different deck that was a little more competitive. So, it should be interesting to see how things play out this time. If they start with a Shaman or they struggle to get going, we can really punish them, I think. And that's definitely going to be the goal here. So, yep, we're going to go first in the second game here. And we start with a Reshiram, which is a great starter for this deck. The rest of our hand is decent too. Battle Compressor on turn 1 is nice, and the Trainer's Mail could get us an Ultra Ball. We actually get the Rayquaza EX off our top deck, which is great too. So I'm liking this setup here. We'd like to get a Fire and... maybe a Double Dragon. It depends on if we really want to put... We know they play Enhanced Hammer in 0-6, so it depends on if we really want to put it in there. Now, the Lightning Energy is an easy target for discarding right away. We know that... I mean, we're not going to attach it with Reshiram, so we don't really want it in our hand early. We'd rather have Fire Energies in our hand. And N is obviously good because we don't want to discard all the resources in our hand right now. So we're going to play that N most likely. Although we could get an Ultra Ball off of the Trainer's Mail, and that might change things as well. But all the more reason to discard 3 cards and not just 1 or 2. We do get an Ultra Ball, which is great. I think the right play is just to discard the 2 Sycamores. Yep, we don't want to get rid of Switch. And we're going to grab Hoopa EX. No, not Rayquaza EX. That would have been sort of a little disappointing. And we do have both Hydreigon in the deck, which is nice. We've got both Shaman in the deck, which is also nice. And I think we're just going to grab both Hydreigon at this point. I know that this type of deck likes to Lysander stall, so this way we're at least saying you can't Lysander stall a Hydreigon. So we get the Spirit Link down, which is good before they can slap a Headringer down. Don't really want any of those cards, and we're just going to play N. And we do get a Fire Energy, so that's good. The rest of our hand looks like we're going to be moving a little slow unless we top deck something. I'm just going to attach the Fire from hand. And not going to play down Skyfield. Don't want it countered yet. We have Escape Rope in hand, so even if they Lysander up something, we can Escape Rope out of it. Them starting the Bunnelby actually means we could take a knockout next turn without even Mega Evolving. If they don't get something else down, we could just use that Dragon Strike for 130 and knock out the Bunnelby. We would need a Fire, and we would need to attach a Fire with Reshiram, and also Double Dragon. We see an Assault Vest and an N out of our opponent. We got the Double Dragon. Unfortunately, our opponent does get down a Houndoom EX, so it doesn't look like we're going to get a Donk. And also a Shaman EX. We see they play Max Potion too. Max Potion's not going to be helpful for them at all, though. Well, I mean, most likely not. Assuming that we are attacking with Dragon Ascent whenever we attack with... whenever we try and... Or at least we'll take a knockout every time we attack, most likely. So we see a Super Scoop Up. Maybe, I'm not sure what they want to pick up here. Just the Shaman, I guess. They're probably going to play it back down. They're going to Ultra Ball first, though. Discarding Team Rocket's Handiwork and N. Grabbing another Houndoom. Probably play that down as well. And then they'll set up. Unless they can play the last card. Oh, they play... Okay, so they play Team Rocket Secret Base, which increases the retreat cost of non-Team Aqua Pokemon by 1. So you can see that Hoopa has 3 retreat now, which is a little scary if they try and bring up the Hoopa. See a Headringer on Hoopa. They might think we play... they're probably thinking that we might play... we call it Floatstone. So we see discarding a Shaman EX, unfortunately, and a Spirit Link, which we don't mind so much at this point. So we can Turbo Blaze, we can attach the Double Dragon, and I think at this point we have to. We're going to discard Spirit Link and the Ultra Ball, grab the Mega Rayquaza, and if we have anything we can really, let's see, we want to get back the Shaman probably, although we would have to put back all our energy that we would be Mega Turboing, which is a little bit of a downside, so we'll just discard it. We might need to use Bunnelby at some point as well. We can play the Mega Turbo, and unfortunately we didn't hit the Shrine of Memories though, so won't be attacking this turn. So we're just going to pass. We did attach 4 energy that turn, which is great, and unfortunately we see an Enhanced Hammer, although next turn, as long as we don't get End, we can actually attack. So we see they discard a Mega Turbo, unfortunately, and a Fire, which is not too bad. We draw into the Escape Rope, which is definitely good to have that switching card in hand. And so the nice thing is we could try and bait them out by send up an EX with this Escape Rope. I think that's what we're going to do. They could end up just sending out the other Bunnelby, though, which would be a little disappointing. So maybe we also can Lysander. So let's just do that. We're going to Lysander something to the active. Could go for Shaman or a Houndoom. I think Houndoom's the better option. And we're going to target down that full art for sure. Don't want them to have their full arts. I would want my opponent to take the one that's not a full art. So So we see Shrine of Memories and a Skyfield. So Shrine of Memories could be very helpful for next turn, especially if they promote a Bumblebee. We can knock out the Bumblebee next turn if we get an energy. So that's nice. And Skyfield always helpful too. In general, we're probably going to want to get rid of their stadium. You can see how the retreat cost of our Dragon Pokemon isn't affected, because right now we have -4 and then +1, so nothing had a 4 retreat cost or more. So everything still got free retreat except for Hoopa and Shaymin EX. And we see a Super Rod. After putting an Assault Vest on the Houndoom, they grab the Houndoom back with a Super Rod. And we see a Burrow, discarding Switch. And a Giratina. We see a Trainer's Mail. See what we can get out of this. Skyfield VS Seeker. Neither of those very helpful. I think we're going to just be forced to end this turn, but we will put down the Shrine of Memories first. And then we'll play N. Hopefully we can hit an energy of some sort and be able to use that Dragon Strike attack. We do essentially hit an energy here with the Mega Turbo, which is great. And this is the utility of that Shrine of Memories now, and playing the basic Lightning as well. You can see how this all comes in handy against decks that don't want us to use special energy. So we have 4 special energy down, which is great. Now, even if they team Flare Grant with us top decking, or with us getting that double dragon out of the prizes, even if they team Flare Grant us, we can still take a knockout next turn. And this is what happens when the deck gets going. It just rolls through just about everything, even decks that are trying to discard all your energy. See the Lysander on the Hoopa EX, and this is why I've held on to this escape rope the whole time. And they will be able to so we can actually do the escape rope Lysander play if we'd like, or we can save the Lysander for next turn, because most likely our opponent will send up the Bumblebee. I would think they'd want to send up the Bumblebee. Yeah, so they do. 1 prize attacker makes sense. And actually not going to put down the double dragon. Well, we could put, I don't know. I think it's best to probably not put down the double dragon because it can be hammered away. We're just going to Dragon Strike for 130. And take the knockout, and we get heads, so we can use Dragon Strike next turn. Although we are not going to be aiming to use Dragon Strike next turn, I guarantee you that. We're going to be going for the knockout if we can. And it's going to be hard for my opponent to do anything. Obviously, they can end me. We've got good cards left in the deck, though. And if they don't end us, then a Flare Grunt and a Hammer would put us in an awkward situation. But really, they would have a hard time. We see a Lysander. And I'm hoping that I have that AZ in the discard. Let's check real quick. Looks like it's probably not in there. But I believe the Switch is still on the deck. So we have ways out of this. We see a Super Scoop up from the opponent. They pick up the Shaymin EX. And just Melting Horn. They know if we take the knockout, it doesn't matter. And our opponent, fortunately, puts the AZ in the discard with the Melting Horn. I don't know if they were considering that was a possibility, but they put the AZ in the discard. And so we can VS Seeker for the AZ, pick up that Hoopa, bring up M-Rayquaza, and attach the Double Dragon. And we can Dragon Ascent for 300 damage. Well, actually, it's only going to do 260. And opponent says GG. And I'm going to check to see. They actually are allowing us to go first, which is interesting. I think with these mill decks, I understand the idea of having your opponent go first so that you can attack first, but I still think it's best for you to go first. That Bumblebee was prized, which could have been problematic late game. But having your opponent go first when you play Headringer is just not what you want, in my opinion. I think you always want to go first. I think there are certain matchups with certain decks where you might go second, like maybe the Night March Mirror. But in general, you want to go first, and I would say that's definitely the case in this type of deck because you want to get set up before your opponent does. They also know that I need to Mega Evolve, so I'm not really sure why they would want us to go first, but I'm glad that they are letting me. Definitely happy to see that. So we're definitely going to start Reshiram here, and great to also have the Hydreigon. We're going first though, so we'll wait to put it down. We can go look at some of our opponent's deck, but we already knew they had played all those things. And it's 1-1, all tied up again, so maybe we can pull off the comeback. Our hand is pretty nice, though. I do want to draw the extra card. Was kind of unsure about that, but yeah, definitely want to draw the extra card. We're definitely going to put down Bumblebee as well, just to make sure it doesn't get discarded. And it looks like we're probably going to have to end. This is sort of the downside of not playing Skyla. I did like playing Skyla in the Mega Man Ector Ko deck. Skyla would be a decent card to play in this as well because we want to get that turn 1 Hoopa. But not playing Skyla, so I think we're just going to have to end this turn, which is unfortunate. Would have liked to have put down a Double Dragon. Would have liked to put a fire onto a Rayquaza, but not really worth putting it onto in my opinion, it's not worth putting it onto the Hydreigon, although we would be able to attack this turn with Shred for 80. But 80 is just not enough. If it was 90, I'd probably consider it because then we're essentially putting our opponent on a 1-turn clock. But since it's not, it's just not what we want to do. We have an Ultra Ball, so we can go for the Hoopa EX. And we're going to discard the Sycamore for sure. And I'm debating if I want to go for the Hydreigon or the Mega Rayquaza. I think I know that so I know the other Mega Rayquaza's in there, so I'm okay with discarding the Rayquaza. And I'd like to have the Hydreigon if we can. Our hand is getting our bench is getting a little crowded at this point, but we definitely need to grab Rayquaza and a Shaman. I'll just hold on to that Hydreigon for the moment. Maybe we'll get a Skyfield and we can put it down later. We're going to draw with a Shaman with a setup for 3. We get a Rayquaza Spirit Link, which is great. And Zero Sick, guess we'll put it in our hand. I'll put down the Spirit Link. And, we've got some options. And I think that we're just going to end our turn. It would have been great to get some energy down. Obviously, missing the energy attachment is not good. And I think, in general, you want to get at least 1 energy attachment down. See, they're going to bring up the Hoopa EX. We do have AZ. If we top deck the Skyfield, that'd be fantastic. We do top deck a Skyfield. Great. So now the the AZ play is even better because we can pick up the Hoopa. We can also get like a Mega Ray, use our Mega Turbos, and this hand just became way more playable and good. So now we can get a Mega Rayquaza and a Shaman EX, and we could grab something else. I don't think it's good to take extra cards out of the deck in a mill deck. Kind of seems obvious, but it's true. So we do have 2 energy that we can Mega Turbo on, which is fantastic. So we're going to do that, and then we can set up for 5, which is solid. And we see a Double Dragon. I'm actually thinking it's probably better to hold off just because we know they played Hand Stammer. But if we don't draw a fire next turn, we could be in trouble. Put down the other Reshiram, giving us the opportunity to double Turbo Blaze. But I think I'm feeling fairly confident that we can get some way of putting on. Oh, and we see. Ooh, that could have been a big Crushing Hammer actually. But we just see a Melting Horn, which means that as long as we can get a Fire Energy, the Double Dragon will be enough. and then we'll be able to take a knockout and take a relatively easy win for Game 3. They just couldn't get set up. All the more reason that I think that my opponent should have opted to go first. But we're going to dig here for... we're going to take a Pokemon out of the deck because we're definitely going to Sycamore here. We're going to dig here for an energy. If we get a fire energy, then we win the game. If we get a Mega Turbo, we win the game. I don't think there's any more Mega Turbo though. But if we get a fire, we win, and we do see a fire energy, so we are going to be able to Turbo Blaze and Dragon Ascent for 300 or for 260 damage again for the win. Good game to my opponent. I was definitely worried. That first game really had me worried, and I just wasn't sure what to expect. I mean, this was not the kind of deck I've been seeing when I've been testing, and had me a little worried, but not surprised that our deck does well, just because it can take the knockouts are so easy to take, and as long as they aren't able to discard a ton of energy, we can usually get powered up and get going. So this was easier though. Only had to take the one knockout, which is always nice, and it's a victory for Mega Rayquaza. So we'll take a victory, and happy to go 1-0 in the tournament, and we'll be interested to see what we play next. But thanks for watching, and see you with round 2 of the PokeBeach July tournament.